This is the Viltrox E Z adapter. This thing here. I've had it for a couple of weeks and I've been wondering, is it as easy to use as people say? And is there a more obvious pun I could have opened with? For some reason I shoot both Nikon and Sony. Well, the reason is when I was deciding to make the leap to mirrorless full frame, I chose the Z6 as it had 10-bit external video and the possibility of cheap lenses, without the crop of the EOS R on 4K. Also, a lot of the shirtless travel bros who pushed Canon at the time gave me the ick. Nikon fans prefer to be asexual, unless you have feathers. But as I expand my Sony lenses, it made me wish I could use some of my favourite Sony lenses on my Nikon body. The Tech Art adapter was out, but it cost about as much as another prime lens. But then Viltrox announced the EZ adapter for 99 USD. That was worth a crack even just for shits and giggles. And as a sad modern human, it turns out price has a far bigger effect on me buying something than quality or looks or mouthfeel. As it turns out, it's mostly giggles and only minor shits, as you'll see. In terms of fitting, it's kind of a mixed bag. There's no rubber grommets anywhere, the lens release button doesn't click very well, and the lens doesn't click on as firmly as it would on a Sony body. But the attachment itself clicks in nicely, and the shape of the grip makes it pretty easy to take off the body or the lens. But what you're probably wondering is how well it autofocuses, and for that, let's have a bit of a test.
So first up, we've got the 28mm f2. You know, it's a nice kind of older lens, but and it is on the supported list. As you can see, it's not the fastest, and having some hunting at the end. Now this time it's got the 20mm fisheye mod that snaps onto the end, so not on the supported list. Kind of a weird setup, works about the same. Now just trying that for stills, and using point tracking, wide point tracking. I did think that maybe the object in the foreground was distracting it. It seems better. Tamron 70-180, that actually works pretty damn fast. It's a really fast focusing lens. I'm not surprised that this works brilliantly. It's also on the supported list, even when you get really close. It's great. Next is the 55mm, again an older lens. It seems to be working completely fine. Snappy, fast. This is my other workhorse lens, so I was really happy with that. Great, no problem. Then onto my main workhorse lens, the 24-105G. This one I'm just trying a 3D tracking, setting a point and then zooming back in and out. Loses very slightly, but performance is very similar to what you'd get on the Sony body. Now just trying an AFC wide mode, again doing dollying, seems to be working great. Now in point tracking with tap in video mode, again works well. And yes, you can do wobbly dolly zooms in an office chair if you want. So something I did find kind of weird is that the manual does say that after updating you'll be able to use body stabilization, not lens stabilization. And I did find that snapping the lens on and off controls didn't seem to have an effect on display of the Nikon camera. So I couldn't tell whether it was working or not. I assume not, because I couldn't tell the difference. As you can see, the body stabilization is still keeping it steady. Now, video autofocus, as expected, works great. Fast, not as fast as the 70-180 Tamron, but still fast. Now, stills autofocus, again works well. Some other weird stuff is that when you're inserting the pin to be able to update the firmware in the Viltrox, it's kind of hard to know which pin to insert. There's 4 different separate pins and it doesn't stand properly. In the end, I had to kind of wedge it and use the tension of the wire to have it hold together, which is not ideal, but we got there in the end. And again, just reading through the menu talking about how lens stabilization only works before the update. I don't understand what's going on there. Maybe they'll get fixed later. And then the update process, which is just simply connecting. Once you finally get the pins lined up, it will show up as a drive and then immediately disconnect. Now, a lens that's not on the supported list, this rather old and busted Samyang 18mm. I didn't think that this worked particularly well. It was quite slow, a little bit disappointing. I mean, it does work, but not fast. As you can see, it takes a while to get its subject. Yeah, with this lens, it's definitely quite a lot faster, even if it's still reasonably inaccurate using the Sony A1. To be expected. My mask in the corner is getting face tracking there instead of the foreground, but I'm going to blame the body, not the lens, for this. Now onto a rather more specialty lens, the 70mm macro, just to see. So this is not a traditionally fast focusing lens, but I did find that it works pretty well and pretty fast. And then that was for stills. As for video, the point tracking was not particularly fast in video, much faster in stills. Then again, it's not really much of a video lens. Back to stills again, as you can see, not quite as fast as it is on the Sony body. A little bit of hunting there, but somewhat acceptable given that the actual barrel of the lens has to move in and out. Now just pushing things by trying my little dolly zoom in the chair in stills mode, and yeah, it's keeping roughly in focus until the body has to extend out. So that's roughly as expected. Did some tests with the Sony A1 just to compare. As you can see, it's definitely faster on the native body, but not fast. There.
So that was probably far too much video for something that costs less than a Sydney meal. If you have a Sony lens and a Nikon camera, it's worth getting, hands down, even if it doesn't perform quite as well as I hoped. You could get the tech out and it will likely work about the same and cost more, but Viltrox will probably update the firmware more consistently because Viltrox like Aperture, Gien and Sirei seem to get better every year, and those who aren't snobs can really take advantage. Long story short, I'm chucking my favorite lenses on like the 55mm Zeiss and the 28mm f2 on my ZF and shooting for fun now, and it is fun. So long as it doesn't start raining.